and everybody's turning on 343, and I've been the last guy to defend them, and I don't know how to anymore. I've run out of fucking excuses, man.
So
we can dish on a few things.
yeah, well, first off, Halo Infinite came out on November 15th, and so it's been about what, 5 months?
Yeah, since the multiplayer, yeah.
And I've been meaning to talk to you about it ever since it dropped. So what are your thoughts on it at this point?
That has been I'd say the first 2 to 3 months after it came out, I was pretty stoked, like most people. The pros, they had that event, that first event, that kickoff event in I think it was in Raleigh, North Carolina back in December, and the pros loved it. I mean, everything flowed good. I mean, they had issues there with the PCs they were running it on. I think they had to break out Xboxes by the end of the event, or at least when they got down to the finals. So there's definitely, and that hasn't changed really. There's definitely still some work to be done, like talking PCs to Xboxes and stuff. I ran a LAN like a couple months ago, and it was not an easy thing to do. You basically have to set up a PC as a third-party server to host it all. So, like there's things like that not happy about, but like the core formula, the core gameplay, I think is phenomenal. I fucking love it. Everything is great, but needs more maps, needs Forge, needs co-op. There's all these things that are missing that have, there's never been a Halo that's launched without campaign. And then when we finally get the campaign, there's no co-op, like, and I know, it's been a tough ride for 343 with COVID and everything, just like every other studio.
Fuck that shit, dude.
But it's been 6 years, man.
I think COVID is an excuse, and they've been fucking shit up since Halo 4, dude.
Yeah.
And they have a track record, and they've had 6 years to do this, so I can't use COVID as an excuse.
Well, I look at COVID as something that can mess with the productivity of a studio that big. Smaller studios, I don't think it really fucking.
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sure it delayed it a little bit, and they had some problems with it. But I just can't use that as like an excuse for why the game is what it is. Especially like, was the budget $500 million or some shit? Is that true? Or that just sounds absolutely ridiculous. Like, where the fuck did that money go?
They built their own engine, and I know.
I think that might be one of the issues and the problems, though, is because they build this new engine that's probably badass, but they don't know how to necessarily work it compared to like what they already know about the previous engine. And from my understanding, they were hiring employees at just a few months at a time as like temp, and then letting them go and then getting new employees in. So by the time they kind of learned the new engine, someone else would come in and have to relearn it. So no one ever really fully understood it. Does that make sense?
Sure. Well, that's definitely part of it. But in my humble opinion, based on what I know, the people that I know who have worked there, maybe some are still there, some have left. That studio has turned into a fucking shit show in terms of the culture, the way that they do things.
Why?
It's for lack of a better term, it's like wokeified. It's just like equity, diversity. This kind of shit has seeped in to almost every level of Microsoft. And I know, and some of this has come out in the press a little bit, like, there were some leaked conferences and meetings where people would they would like say their skin color and what they're wearing and describe themselves at the start of a call, just in case.
I saw that. That's just fucking stupid. That's just retarded.
Yeah, it's fucking retarded. Yeah. But that kind of stuff is just become, that's what sank Mixer. You remember Mixer, right?
I don't think so.
Mixer was Microsoft's attempt to compete with Twitch. It was a streaming platform, and we almost went to it. We were in negotiation with them, and then it got pulled at the 11th hour, and they decided to crack open Microsoft's wallet and go get Ninja and go get Shroud and go get.
I did hear about that shit. Ninja, going to another platform, and
then within a year it was dead.
Yeah. But I didn't know that was it.
Yeah, and they signed multiple year, tens of millions of dollars to go grab these streamers, and then the company, the platform fucking folded after a year, and then they had to pay out all these streamers who ended up back on Twitch. We're talking tens of millions of dollars that Microsoft just pissed away because they ran the company in a stupid way. They hired people that weren't qualified to do the job. They hired them on the basis of race or gender or whatever the fuck.
And you
And
think that's what's happened to 343?
I know it is.
That sucks.
I know
dude.
it is. And I know that there's people who are really, really talented employees. I think most of the studio is probably still very talented, but I know that there's people that have made it into roles where it's leadership or it's HR. They have control.
So just to be clear, people are getting hired based on their race or their gender or things like that, rather than someone who actually is like way more qualified just to kind of fill in those roles, maybe.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I believe that because that's happening in everything.
Yeah. I mean, I
Like,
know.
look at fucking Disney, and they own fucking everything, and that shit's in everything now, dude. It sucks.
It is. And I've done my best. I've felt this way for a long time, and we've talked about 343 before, obviously, and I really, really I had some high hopes for Infinite. And again, there's people there that I really respect, and I think it has the potential to be one of the best studios in the world, but they just keep getting pulled off course by this kind of stuff. And
So do you think it's Microsoft's responsibility more so than 343 since they're
Mhm.
owned by Microsoft?
oh, totally, yeah. They're on that campus. You know, I don't even think they're back in the office yet. You know, like they keep extending COVID protocols and extending, and that's stemming from something that's political in nature. I think at this point, I don't think the decisions they're making around safeguards for that are medical in nature. I think they're political in
Oh,
nature.
fuck yeah, for sure.
And
I 100% agree with that.
yeah, and that's caused the game and caused the studio to be stuck in this standstill and this holding pattern where they can't crank stuff out. And I don't know what to do. Again, I'm just a fan. You know, I'm not speaking for anyone by name or anything like that. This is
Same thing, man. I'm just a fucking fan that wants the best for the game, that wants the best for the competitive scene. I've literally fucking have been in this game since the day it dropped, the day Xbox came out. I bought the Xbox the day I was in the line at Best Buy waiting. There's fucking 5 games that you can get. I was getting ready to buy fucking NBA 2K because it was more familiar. The lady at Best Buy was like, "No, I'll get this game," and so I'm like,
Right.
The cover wasn't honestly that appealing to me, but I bought it anyway.
Yeah.
Fucking that changed my entire life, dude. You know,
Same.
and it makes me sad because that core element is there. It feels like Halo Infinite could have been the best Halo game. Like it took elements of the old Halo with elements of the new, and I was like fucking. It even brought players like me and a lot of the old like pros and shit back. Like Andrew was playing again and shit. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
I just felt like there was this cool like I was like, Halo's back finally, you know. And then to be just completely fucking heartbroken 3-4 months later with just absolutely no transparency from this company, dude. And I don't know, man. Do you think 343 can save Halo?
I think when I think about Bungie, I think about a game that comes out that has just got all this stuff going for it right off the bat. And then when I think about 343, I think about I should rephrase that. When Bungie would launch Halo games, there would be amazing stuff in them, but it's held back by some core functionality that ended up being a bigger problem as time goes on. So the game doesn't really grow the way it's supposed to. When I think of that 343, they bring out a game that doesn't really have a lot of issues, but as time goes on, it needs more content. It needs more work. They get the game to where it needs to be eventually. Whereas Bungie would have it at a pretty high bar, but they wouldn't really make it better over time. I feel like they'd make it worse, and Destiny's like that. Whereas 343, they get it almost to where it needs to be, and then eventually over time they get it there. They get it over the line. That's my opinion, you know, and I really think that when you look at Destiny, that kind of stands up because Destiny was one of those games that came out and had just everything going for it. Same with Destiny 2. And I feel like the games have just gotten worse. They've whittled down. They've gotten way too convoluted. Bungie just overthinks shit, whereas 343 underthinks shit. You know what I mean? That's how I would describe it. And I don't know. So I'm confident that 343 can get the game where it needs to be because they did that with Master Chief Collection. By the end of Halo 5,
How long did that take?
It took years. You know, it was.
That sucks. I don't want to fucking wait years.
Yeah, Well, that's.
The sad thing is, I probably will.
Well, that's something that I lay at the feet of former Xbox leadership before Phil Spencer came in because they signed, like putting all those Halos together into one game and doing blended playlists and blended funk, all that shit, that was like insane. That's like 10
Pretty
times
ambitious.
That's 10 times more work than building any game. And
Yeah.
you know, and Xbox was just the leadership at the time. That was a huge selling point for Xbox One, to get all the Halos onto Xbox One, because they weren't when that console came out. And that was how they were going to do it. And they're like, we want it done in a year. We want it in 2014, a year after this Xbox came out. And 343 was, I don't know if they were just stiff-armed into it or what the deal was, but that was a 5-year project at best. And, you know, and they tried to crank it out in like 18 months or something. Like, it was never going to work.
Did Microsoft put that onto them?
Back then, yeah. So that's their fault. I don't really blame 343 for that. I blame Don Matrick, the old head of Xbox. Like, that was one of the many things that he just fucking did wrong and cost him his job. But since then, I mean, I feel like that's part of the reason that Infinite isn't where it should be, is because they just have dedicated a third of their studio to just fixing things that were never quite right to begin with, like MCC, you know?
So instead of creating all the new content, they're just fixing old shit and it's playing catch up. Because pretty much this is a beta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's
still.
And I know that they're moving formulas, and it's not meant to be a full game at launch. We're gonna get Forge. We're gonna get co-op. We're gonna get more maps. They're gonna do drip content, battle passes, things like that. They're trying to do it, and it's free to play for multiplayer, which is cool.
I have no problem with that.
So,
my issue is like, at least when Halo 2 and Halo 3 came out, I feel like I don't know, was it every Monday or Friday, they would come out with like, okay, we're gonna patch this, we're gonna do that. Dude, it's been months and they don't say shit. And then when they come out with something, it's just a bunch of bullshit. We're like, what the fuck? We already know that.
Yeah, it's all nonsense. And,
yeah.
And I really think the reason for that is because that studio was fucking empty, man. Like, everybody's at home just doing remote meetings and having meetings about more meetings, and nothing gets fucking done. This way. It took 6 years for them to even put this game out.
Where are they? Are they in Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I just feel like that problem has gone from bad to worse over the years. Halo 5 did really well for them, and it stood up well and as a competitive circuit for 3 years, and in 2018 that was it. And we've been waiting around ever since then, which is 4 years ago now.
Did you, speaking of Halo 5, and I actually want to talk about 4 and 5 because I kind of stopped playing after Halo 3. I just kind of got out of video games for a little bit, and then I got back into it with Infinite.
Right.
But you continue through Halo 4 and 5, right? I
did, yeah. And I think Halo 4 was not quite as bad as people say it is, considering that that game was basically made in a garage by leftover Bungie guys, you know? So, I mean, all things considered, I didn't really care. I liked it more than Reach, so it was a step in the right direction as far as I was concerned.
But see, what bothers me about what you're saying is, if you just ask anybody, like the top properties or gaming characters of all time, you know, they'll say like Zelda, Mario. I guarantee you in the top 5 at some point they'll say Master Chief. How the fuck is this game being made by guys in a garage when it's one of... I don't understand why Microsoft doesn't take this property just way more serious. Like, that just blows my mind, dude. Yeah. They could literally take all those fucking hackers and cheaters that make all that shit, hire all those motherfuckers, and they could probably come out with a way better game in like a year than these fucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the project, what's it called? The old Halo 2, wow, what's it called? I can't think of it. Like the PC port that those guys did, that people were playing, that pros were playing on stream and stuff.
That wasn't done by Bungie? I remember Bungie did
No, there was a different one.
No, that was Combat Evolved, actually. Combat Evolved at one point came out on PC with like a couple crazy extra maps that were only on PC. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I'm thinking so like when MCC was busted, some fans, there was a fan-made version of Halo 2 that came out that was like modernized, so it'd run in 4K, but it was the old original version, so the spawns were right, because MCC has fucked up spawns. It's not the original version of CE or H2, so spawns don't work right. And there was a Project Cartographer, that's what it was called, and some guys made that and ran it on PC, and it was like better than MCC, and it got shut down. They went and hired those guys,
Fuck yeah.
And I was like, that's great,
That's
you
smart,
know, like,
yeah.
and then, you know, I think it was end of 2019, the final patch for 4K 60 PC, added everything to Steam. MCC finally got to where it needed to be 5 fucking years later. And I think it was within a year of bringing those guys on. So that was good. And I agree that Microsoft at the time when it was transferring from Bungie to 343, there is a big gap in quality because Microsoft didn't put their weight behind it, and they fucking should have, because it put Xbox on the map. You know, like I wore this jersey because I love Halo, and
That's a sick fucking jersey, dude.
yeah, dude. Like this is
Where'd you get that at?
this was a gift from a good friend of mine that I met through the con scene and watches streams and stuff. He sent it for my birthday a few years back. So, and I'm headed to a hockey game tonight. So I was like,
Okay.
I got to wear this. This is perfect.
I
Right?
know, that's badass. My dumbass thought that was your team.
We are a green team. So I could potentially wear it tonight. I probably won't though. But
How often do you play Halo Infinite right now?
almost never.
Yeah,
I've been
me
playing, the new Tiny Tina Wonderland. Played the shit out of Far Cry 6. That's a great game. You know, I started doing that podcast for a solar company on the side, so streams have been kind of light lately, but mostly it's just like Infinite just doesn't have anything new to do. I've done it all. You know,
Yeah.
they have like 5 playlists, 4 or 5 playlists. They have one ranked playlist. That's it.
The
You know,
season pass goes fast.
yeah, it's shallow, and I really thought by now they would have more stuff to do. I thought because they originally said March you'll have Forge and co-op, and March is in our rearview mirror now. And
I know, what the fuck.
they just
I
keep
actually
missing
enjoy
deadlines.
doing all the events and all the nerdy shit, like, you know, trying to unlock certain things, but the I don't know what you call them, the achievements or whatever, like do this amount of times in this playlist. They're lame as fuck, like trying to do all those things, and then
Yeah.
what you're doing it for, like the what do you call it, the skins or whatever, they suck. It's
Yeah.
just the same exact shit over and over again, or it's that same fucking logo of the fucking warthog with the gunner and shit. Like how many times are they gonna hand that fucking thing out? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the little
The emblem
emblems and
thing?
shit. Yeah.
What the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Again, I feel like the studio's been empty for 2 years. People aren't in there putting their brains together across from one another. The creative energy, you know, is just it's been fractured for a couple of years now, and they won't put it back together, and we need it. We need it now. And I think so I blame that. I know that things have happened in leadership and hiring and stuff at that studio. Anyone with a Twitter account can see it. You know, that they've put people in positions that maybe they shouldn't be, or maybe they weren't fully qualified to be, but it looks good for the company. And that
To
is
who?
to the blue check marks on Twitter. I don't fucking know. Like,
You know what I mean?
I mean, it doesn't look good on the game. It
Yeah,
doesn't look good on
exactly.
the product. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I've been their biggest fucking advocate through hell and high water as MCC was in an unplayable state, as the game gets delayed, as fucking the show just doesn't happen over and over again, and everybody's turning on 343, and I've been the last guy to defend them, and I don't know how to anymore. I've run out of fucking excuses, man. Like the
I
game
don't mean to
needs
laugh,
so
but yeah.
much. It
Like,
needs
that's
so
what,
much.
like, I don't mean to be this like podcast about just shitting on 343 right now. Me and you are just fucking honest fucking Halo fans, are just disappointed, and we're just fucking being honest right now, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll say that the year leading up to Infinite, the 2 years leading up to Infinite, because it got delayed for a year, I guess. But I was at a point where I wasn't sure if I really wanted to keep doing the streaming thing. You know, like I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put all my eggs in the Infinite basket. That game comes out, that's all I'm doing for a year. I'm gonna go to events. I'm gonna do all this stuff, and then it came out, and it's just like, I can't. There's only so much I can do. I can't stream this game 10 hours a day because there's not 10 hours a day of stuff to do. Like you run some ranked, you run some customs, you run a little of this, a little of that. But I mean, you run out of steam. The campaign finally came out, and I'll give it to them. It's a great campaign. But I've never been a campaign guy. I'm a multiplayer guy.
Yeah, me
and
too. Yeah.
we need so much, and we need it yesterday. And this dynamic inside the studio, I feel like has just reached this point where it's really crumbling the foundation. And I know that same mentality has bled into the show, which is what we were going to talk about that too. Like the show, I don't know. Have you seen it at all?
I watched the first episode and then I just kind of gave up, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did a podcast with McClay where I actually showed him the helmet reveal where he takes off the helmet and stuff. And
dude,
it was just like, what the fuck?
I don't know if the third episode's out yet. I don't know what day they come out, but I watched the second episode, like, I think it was last Saturday, and it gets worse, you know, like it's because after the first episode, I was like, okay, this pretty much looks like what I expected, you know, based on the trailers and the stuff I had seen.
And it's like as far as the CGI and shit. Yeah, like
underproduced.
Shit, yeah.
It's nowhere near the level of quality that you'd expect
you know
for
where
a brand this big.
Exactly. Well, they had this huge budget. I guess it was like $90 million, but the CGI, I could tell like they didn't have the budget. So for example, like they'll show Master Chief's shield regenerate, but instead of like showing the whole thing, it cuts to the visor, which is actually smart if you don't, you know, think about it. But
it's funny you notice that, because that was one of the things that really pissed me off, because the elites look pretty good and they get shot. You see their shield react the way.
But they should have his whole shield. That would look so dope.
Yeah, like there's a part where he jumps down behind a truck and you can hear the beeping because his shield is out, and then you hear it stop and you know, come back up, and there's nothing. It's just plastic cosplay armor, dude. He looks fucking stupid as fuck, man. I can't buy into that.
And then
we waited so long for this fucking show, man. Like, how many hands has this project gone through before we finally get it? And I don't know, 90 million for what, a 10 episode season, whatever it is. I don't think that's anywhere near. That should be at least 200 or 300 million of what you'd expect from a big fucking movie to do these episodes, you know.
It should be the baddest fucking thing ever.
Yeah. Why
isn't it so sick? I'll tell you 2 reasons, which I can't no, they just went fucking right out of my mind. The first one is they made a comment, which I'm sure you know about, is how they didn't even look at the game or play the game. So it's like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then it's just its own thing. It's non-canon. Like, I don't understand. I never read the books or anything, but from my understanding, they're badass, and a lot of people appreciate it, and there's a lot of good lore. Why not just recreate that? The fans would love that shit, and then they're the ones going to be telling everyone else to watch it and stuff, and that's how I think it would just maintain an audience, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I only read 2 of the books. Well, not even 2. I read The Fall of Reach more than once, and I like that book a lot. I think that's the first one. It's one of the earliest ones. And then I read most of Ghost of Onyx, which was written, I believe, by the same author, Eric Nyland. I haven't read the other ones, but obviously I know the games very well. And if you're going to base it on one thing more than the other, it's the fucking games. It's not the books, you know? Like, you want to tie the books in with the game, I mean, whatever, but they're not even really following the books, in my opinion.
No, they're not at all.
They're not. They're just sort of shooting from the hip.
That's what I'm saying. They're not following any of the books or the lore or the game. It's literally its own thing. Like, what the fuck?
Dude, there's a part
that makes no sense to me.
There's a part in that first episode that really annoyed me, like the shield thing, where the other big guy, Spartan, has the DMR, and he's like running towards an elite shooting, and it's like it's not a fucking, it's like an automatic gun sound.
Yeah, the sound effects don't match. Yeah,
and
the other thing is the plasma pistol is overpowered as fuck. It wasn't how it's like used in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I guess we're just nerds and we pay attention to that stuff, but that means a lot to us, you know.
If you're gonna use the same weapons, make them the same weapons. Like, don't just fucking grab these 3D modeled like weapon assets out of the game, which you're supposedly not paying attention to, but that's a DMR in his hand. That's the battle rifle in the girl's hand and the ship, and which was another thing. You could clearly tell by the way she was holding it. It's made out of styrofoam or some shit. It weighed nothing. You know, she's just moving it around.
That's
like
bad acting when you're supposed, you can tell there's no weight.
Little things like that pile up. But the second episode is particularly fucking stupid because, you know, it makes no sense that he would take his helmet off when he's got a gun aimed at him to be like, you can't kill me, but now you can, you know, like to gain her trust in that first episode. And I was like, whatever. I can Okay,
I just can't believe they would
Chief's
show that in the first episode. Like it just, Master
yeah,
Chief's supposed to be just mysterious. You know what I mean? That's to me that seems like something like for the finale or something. You
yeah.
know, like
Imagine if Mandalorian took his helmet off in the
I
first
know
episode. Like
they could have built that up so badass. The first episode, that's bad writing, dude.
it's well in the
And
second
then it's just
one.
and then it's just a normal dude.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's nothing. It's just like
just a guy. But yeah, the second one, this I actually do like that actor, by the way.
Well,
But,
I do too, but I honestly don't even know what I expected. From my understanding, he never took off his helmet, but I guess he did in the games, right? Did he take it off in 4 or 5 or?
There's like legendary endings at the end of I think it was 4.
Okay.
I think it was the first time where he's getting his armor taken off and it kind of zooms in and you see just like a blur of his head.
Okay.
Like really brief, but no, we've not seen his face.
Okay.
And
I was right then about that. I did play the campaigns of 4 and 5. I just never played the fucking campaign. I mean the multiplayer. So.
Yeah. Well, the second episode of this show, dude, strap in, man. Like they go to a planet that doesn't exist in the games or the books as far as I know. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it's just some planet they made up that's near Reach. And they go, there's this scene where he goes to this fucking place to talk to this it's just like this old guy who's in a he was like a prisoner of the Covenant, I guess, and he needs to get information from him, and he's in some sort of refugee camp. It's like some old decrepit like black guy who's like mad about the Covenant and has insight into them or something. So Chief goes and he meets this other friend of his who used to be in the Spartan program but like fled when they were young or something. Half this episode is Chief going to this refuge where Spartans are very much an enemy. Like anything related to the UNSC is like evil to this camp. He walks in and he's met with hostility immediately. And it's only because the guy that runs the camp is a guy he was in Spartan training with that he's able to walk in there and deal and like talk to the person, you know. He like calls in a favor to go see this guy in a prison cell, which why? I don't know. He's in a prison cell. He just is.
Yeah.
Makes no fucking sense. Anyway, he takes his fucking helmet off again. Like as he walks into this camp, they've got guns pointed at him. He doesn't know anybody except this one person who vouches for him. And he takes his helmet off and walks around the whole time in that camp. He's got a suitcase with an artifact in it that he wants to try and understand.
The one from the first episode, right?
Yeah. And in the other hand, he's got his fucking helmet and he's just walking around instead of wearing it. And
does he talk a lot?
Yeah.
That's the other thing is, to me, Master Chief's a man of few words, you know?
Yeah, that was another nice thing is he's like this strong silent type.
Yeah, strong silent.
Yeah. And yeah, it's dumb. It's I want to like it so bad to the point where I've got a lot of blind spots, but you know, this the woke crap that I'm talking about is bled into this as well. Like Jacob Keyes is black now. Miranda Keyes is black now, you know, and for no reason that I can understand. Like, it's not like Halo isn't an insanely diverse universe already. You know, you have like, imagine if they made Johnson white or they made Spartan Locke was a black Spartan in Halo 5. Like, imagine if they made him white. Like, you know how pissed off people would be, rightfully, you know, like what the fuck, you know? So I'm at this point now where I've got such a bad taste in my mouth from the whole thing.
Do you think you'll watch more episodes or?
I don't know. Like if they keep getting worse, I probably won't. I don't know. Halo means so much to me that I'll probably watch them no matter what, even if they're terrible. But the first one just fell short for me. And the second one, dude, it's just like, is this really what this show's going to be like? Just a complete divorce from the reality of the lore here. And Chief's just a pushover that, you know, like.
What are the things that you would want to have seen though in it?
I would have wanted to see Chief just like be a badass who doesn't say much.
Yeah, exactly,
you know, if they want to surround him with a squad of other Spartans, that's a lot like the books. You know, in the books, Chief is not really the lone soldier that you see in the games. He's a soldier with other soldiers, and he stands out. And you know, and that's pretty much the way it is throughout most of his time, at least in the books I've read. And it's always about the squad. And they're going that direction, which is fine. They did that in Halo 4 and in Halo 5. You know, Halo 5 in particular, Halo 4, I guess he's pretty much a lone soldier throughout most of that. But yeah, Halo 5, it's all about the squad. He's with the 4 Spartans, and then there's Spartan Locke. He's the newer Spartan or whatever who's in the newer armor, and he's got a squad of 4 Spartans.
Wasn't everyone pissed off on Halo 5's campaign because the trailer and everything, the story they pushed, they completely changed and didn't show any of it or something like that?
I still don't understand that. Like, I don't know, because I was at that E3 when they unveiled, or no, I wasn't at. Maybe I was. Fuck, I don't know.
It's supposed to be like this big fight too, but it was like barely nothing or something. And
well, he was out in like a desert in a shroud, and he's trying to find Cortana, and it just, I don't know, like it didn't really end up going where I thought it was gonna go, and they made it seem like it was gonna be Chief or Locke. One of them's gonna die, like, and by the end of it, they're just buddies.
Yeah.
Like they really didn't turn out that way. It was not. They had one fight, which was pretty brief, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, I feel like they did kind of bait and switch us with that. But
they kind of been doing that. Even Bungie did that. I remember at E3 they showed some Halo 2 shit that they completely scrapped and then kind of,
they
that we
pulled.
never saw in the game.
Yeah, they had a new technology that was demonstrated at E3. I think the year that game came out, with like shadows.
Yeah.
It was like
it's
like an early version of ray tracing, and they yanked it at the last second. The battle rifle was a single shot, and they changed it at the last second. Yeah, I don't know.
What do you mean a single? Just one?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, originally. And if you go look at the old E3 footage of like 2003 or something, there's a part where Chief, they do the big demo where they show that he can board a vehicle, he can dual wield.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then the battle rifle back then was a single shot. Now, I think it was until just like a month or so before the game came out. That was like
it to a 4-shot, right?
Super last minute thing. 3-round burst, yeah. And then
well, I thought it was 3-round burst, but it was a 4-shot for a
4-shot kill. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it was, and it was single shot. I assume like probably
crazy.
5 or 6, but yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. When I'm thinking single shot,
Single shot kill.
Yeah. You mean with the burst? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a single
1 to 3. Yeah.
Semi-automatic, like the carbine.
That is a crazy change.
Yeah. And again, it was one of those things where I feel like Bungie they always had something good, and then the longer it existed, the more they just like second guess stuff and made it worse, whereas 343, they put things out that need a little work, and then they get it to where it needs to be. Their product gets better over time. Bungie's arguably gets a little worse.
I feel like it's become standard procedure though for just games that come out incomplete, and then just the studio plays catch up over time. Like a lot of studios seem to do that.
Yeah, and I that's like a multi-headed problem. Like
I remember even Halo 2 came out and they were patching that shit for at least a year after that. Remember?
Yeah,
the different guns and the way they registered and things like that, the melees, all that shit.
That's how we got like the BXR and
then what was funny is if you didn't get the new update, like I'm pretty sure I probably have a Halo 2 version on an Xbox of like the old versions of the way Halo 2 was originally made, compared, that doesn't have all the updates and shit,
Yeah.
To where now you're kind of forced to get the updates no matter what.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. Yeah. Someone actually I saw a clip the other day. Someone took that initial fight scene from the first episode of the Halo show where they're fighting the Covenant stuff, and they put like original Halo CE sounds over it. And it's actually way better.
Oh, really? I bet. Yeah. Those OG sounds are awesome, man.
They are. They're so good.
That's crazy, actually. I saw a video of the evolution of like the sounds of the overshield and the camo and all that, and how different they actually are from the games,
Yeah.
As they went on. So
yeah, it got weird. And I don't know where Infinite is gonna go. It's still really, really early in its life, and I have a feeling a year or two from now, everything will be a-okay. Like we'll have a full functioning co-op, we'll have a full functioning Forge, we'll have twice the maps.
Forge will be huge for sure.
Yeah. I don't want to be too bleak in my opinion here. What I think has slowed the development down and stalled the progress so much has just been a really, really naive direction in terms of leadership by underqualified people. And that's not to say that the talent isn't there, that the the quality of the product can't get where it needs to be. I think it will. 343 always seems to get it there in the end. I will give them that. And they definitely made Reach better when they took over. You know, Bungie gave us that game with the Bloom and the armor lock and all that shit. And they tweaked that game and turned it into something that was arguably more competitive and better to play. And so, you know, I'll give my shit on opinion, but I do have like hope and confidence, and
Just got to be patient.
yeah, just got to wait it out, man.
Well, let me ask you this then, because the rumor is that Battle Royale is going to be introduced into Halo. What do you think about that?
I mean, they've officially said they'll never do that.
Oh, really?
They did say, well, they said the only BR we're interested in is the battle rifle. That was the official statement. I think came from Sketch or somebody who's one of the community managers, and you know, so that was a while ago. That was before the game came out. I don't see why they shouldn't put a BR in. I mean, if it makes the game better, Apex has done so well. And
okay, so I feel like an absolute idiot, and I'm a noob at this. Can you explain to me like how you even play Battle Royale? I don't even know what that game type is. I've never played that.
You've never played like PUBG, Fortnite.
Mm.
So Battle Royale is last man standing. You know, usually you have somewhere around 80 to 100 players that drop in. Sometimes it's solos. Sometimes you're in squads of 2 or 3 or 4. And it's last man standing. You drop in on a map and you pick, you know, it's usually like a plane or something that goes over. You drop down on some random spot. There's random loot everywhere. You don't really have much when you hit the ground. And then there is a circle, whether it's gas or electricity or some shit that collapses the map down to a random spot. Sometimes it'll end up over here. Sometimes it'll end up over here. So you're constantly moving towards, you know, the green zone, so to speak, and fighting other teams and other players along the way. And it's last man standing, basically, or last team standing. And that's how it works. And, you know, Apex Legends is basically Titanfall Battle Royale. And it's been immensely successful. I think it's by far the best Battle Royale in terms of like competitive and, you know, running tournaments and stuff, because there's so much RNG and stuff like this. You don't know where loot's going to spawn. Well, I mean, you'll know where it's going to spawn, but you don't know what it's going to be. You know, you might be
Is
looking.
this randomized?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Halo, you know where everything's at.
Yeah, like in Halo, you spawn with a certain gun. There's power weapons that'll spawn on map, but you know when they're coming. You know what it's going to be. This is just sort of like it's like a free for all in terms of what's on the map, and you got to find it. You kill somebody, you can take their stuff, obviously, when they drop it. I think Halo Infinite is something that could easily have a very successful, enjoyable battle royale that would help the game. And they can make it free to play like the multiplayer, get more people in. People might, I mean, you know, the fundamentalist Halo fans, you know, for the most part don't want it. They want to keep it an arena shooter, and they want to keep it like a core formula. And 343 listened. I mean, you can see it with Infinite. They moved away from all that stuff in H5 where you had the thruster pack and the ground pound and, you know, that movement. You have permanent sprint, but that's about it.
I like how they incorporate, you know, I guess you call it equipment or whatever in Halo Infinite, with like the, you know, the camo and the overshield, how, you know, you can kind of hold on to it and activate it whenever you want. I like all that little shit.
Yeah, I like that too. And I like the grapple hook. I think
the grapple hook's bad as fuck.
Yeah, it plays well.
Love the way the fucking pros use it and shit. Like ways I've never thought of. I'm like, holy shit. Like there's certain things I didn't realize you can even do. And yeah, it just makes the game more fun.
Yeah. Like I said, the core gameplay, I'm extremely happy with, and I have been since day one. It's just, we just need more stuff, you know? We need way more stuff. We need more maps. We need more playlists. We need more things to do with the game.
I don't stream like you, but I'm in the same boat where I just kind of thought for the next year this is all I was going to be doing is just, you know, playing Halo and shit. And but do you still follow the competitive scene?
Yeah, to an extent. I watched that first event in Rally, and I was excited. I thought by now we would have a lot more in the game, you know, like with the Forge and the co-op and more maps and more weapons. And I didn't think season 1 was going to go all the way until May, and apparently that's when season 2 is taking place. So
yeah, May let's see, I have it written down. May 3rd.
Yeah. So
it's called Lone Wolves.
Yeah, I think that's too long to do a season. I think you need to do a season. I think it needs to be a few months, and you know, because otherwise we're going to get into these gaping holes where people get bored of the game, and if they go off and start playing something else, I think you run the risk of losing them permanently. People will uninstall this shit because there's so much to play now. You're competing with so many more games than Halo 2 did or Halo 3 did.
Badass games.
Super crazy good
Yeah.
games. And I think that you need to have a game plan, especially when you delayed your game for a year.
The thing is, though, the Halo fan base is there, dude. They just need to fucking come out with the content and not be so goddamn or they need to be more transparent about things. I mean, it's there, dude. It's
Yeah.
just everyone wants to play it. Like, it's just they're out playing other games and shit right now. There's
Yeah.
millions of people just like us who were expecting to play Halo all year, and we're just completely bummed out playing other shit.
Yeah. You spend 50, 60 hours in matchmaking and you've done it all. You've done it all dozens of times. And the sandbox is so good, but it's just like, come on, man. Like, if you're not going to crank maps out, then give us Forge so we can make our own. Do one or the other. You can't do neither and just sit back. And with the show coming out, that's another huge missed opportunity, man. They could have had skins from the show. They
Yeah.
could have, like, I don't know how there wasn't some sort of a tie-in. Maybe there still will be.
That's what I was saying
But-
with McClay. I don't understand that either. There should have been some type of relationship with both of them
Yeah.
together, but there's absolutely nothing.
Dude, the battle rifles and like all the weapons and the armor. I mean, this is like, imagine a Star Wars show that didn't have the stuff, that you could actually interact with when you play the Star Wars games. Like,
Yeah.
imagine it was different. It's just like, that's just suck all the joy out of it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's another huge missed opportunity on their part, especially considering that the weapons and the armor and everything is just popped right out of the game. The fact that they're not basing any of the story on the game, but they're using assets from the game. It's just like, which is it? Like it's
To
tough.
me, it's not Halo.
Yeah, it looks like it, but then
Yeah.
5 minutes in, you're like, this isn't this. I mean, they went into a few of those scenes. They got close, like those first person scenes where it's like the game, but the HUD wasn't quite right.
Mhm.
The sounds they didn't match the guns the way they're supposed to. Just little stupid things like that they got wrong, and it's just like, how do you get shit like that wrong?
They could
man?
have had just one Halo fan, like, just kind of on set being like, no, that's wrong. It's like that,
All they need is an Xbox, man. Just fire this shit up and see for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not spend a weekend figuring that stuff out? I don't know, man. Like, this whole show could have been so fucking epic. It could have just been the best thing ever. It could have put Game of Thrones and all these other big shows just to fucking shame, to bed.
I know
You
my
know?
favorite thing now is episodic television because it's more like a book where you just get into the characters more, and this is such a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
Remember, it was going to be a movie for a while. Remember?
yeah. And Peter Jackson was on it. And,
Oh yeah.
And then
Forgot about
yeah, and then
there was another guy too,
Neil
like
Blomkamp.
Blomkamp.
Yeah, he
was
went and
on
made
it.
he went and made District 9.
And you know
or
what?
whatever.
Some of the battle rifles are in District 9. Some of the guns that they use, like he used some of the art concepts that he used from Halo and put it in District 9. So some of the Halo guns are in that.
Makes sense. It's funny that movie inspired Titanfall. So
Oh,
it was,
really?
it was a game inspired a movie, which then inspired another game.
Really quick. Who was the first battle royale?
That would have been H1Z1, I think.
Okay.
Or is it H1Z1? No, it was DayZ. That's the first big one I can
Okay.
think of. DayZ came out and it was like zombie apocalypse, gas is coming in, you're surrounded, and there was some sort of multiplayer. And then H1Z1 was like another iteration of that, again with gas and zombie apocalypse, but it just turned into the multiplayer side.
and it's probably Fortnite that made it just fucking as big as it is now, right?
Then came PUBG after that, and then Fortnite launched as a totally different game. It was never meant to be a battle royale. It was.
Oh, for some reason I thought Fortnite was battle royale.
It
It's
is.
like building or some shit.
Oh no, it is. But Fortnite was a garden or a tower defense garden zombie kind of thing. It was tower defense where you build like defensive traps and shit like that, and then it's a third person shooter, and you have the building where you can manipulate buildings or build things and set up stuff, and then you do that. There's like a team of like 5 guys. When the game launched, it face planted. 2 months into it, it was dead. Nobody cared. Nobody was playing it. And a team of like 5 guys went in one weekend. They're just like, what if we just did what PUBG and H1Z1 are doing, except we have the building mechanic, So people get in, they loot, but they also have building materials to see what happens. And like 5 people put that shit together over a weekend, and it became the biggest game in the world.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And Ninja was a big part of that, you know, an old Halo guy who just was really, really good at it right off the bat and was able to kind of demonstrate on Twitch the building aspect of it. Because that we'd seen a few battle royales up to that point, and it was the most popular genre on Twitch at the time. Lots of people were streaming H1Z1 and PUBG, which is why they made Fortnite into a battle royale. And Ninja quickly showed, hey, it's not just about shooting and positioning. Like, you can literally outbuild somebody if you're smart enough and you can think quick enough. And it's just like,
Was that the first game to add like that building mechanic into it?
as far as I know, yeah. For a battle royale, for sure, yeah. Before that, it was just run and gun, you know.
I can't really play those I don't really like it third person shooting.
Yeah, I go back and forth. I mean, for a battle royale, I don't think it makes sense because it's too easy to see.
Are they all third person typically, or
no? PUBG is let's see, Call of Duty. The Call of Duty battle royales are first person.
Yeah.
But yeah, H1Z1's third person, and yeah, I think PUBG might be too. Yeah, I think it is actually. I haven't played very much of it. Yeah, it is. It's third person. I think there's first person servers and third person servers.
Okay.
So you can do one or the other, but it's mostly third person, and Fortnite's third person.
Are you gonna watch the next Halo tournament in where's that, Kansas City, I think?
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the online qualifiers.
You watch all that? I watch all that shit too.
Yeah, I'll get on and I'll stream. I'll do like a stream watch party or something. I try to catch them whenever I can. But honestly, I've been more into hockey than Halo lately because Halo's just, you know, I'm waiting for them to pump it full of stuff to do and really dig into it and put my time into it.
Is there certain team that you follow that you like more than other? Or?
I mean, I'm always rooting for Snipe Down. I love that he's still playing and he's still playing very well.
He's probably one of the last like OG Halo players from back in the day, besides like Pistola, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, he and Pistola are the oldest players I can think of. Then you got, the Tox guys. I don't even know if they're called Tox anymore. I think that was just H5. I can't remember what their org is now. It's like their color is red. I can't think of it, but yeah, Snakebite.
Oh, Sentinels.
Sentinels. Yeah, that's what it is. Yes, Snakebite and Frosty and Lethal and Royal 2.
Yeah, I like those guys. It's been fun for me because, like I said, I haven't been into Halo 4 and 5 at all. So I didn't even follow along competitively. And then I quickly got into the competitive scene again in Halo Infinite. And it's been fun to like find out all the drama and how like a lot of these teams that are or players that are in these teams now were ex-teammates or on these other teams and shit, or how even Lucid used to be called Saiyan and shit, or I don't know. I just love all that fucking all that drama and shit, you know. It's fun.
It is. It's fun to watch, and
like especially like the whole Pistola getting dropped and that Formal dude, like that, and then the fact that Formal was a Halo pro, then went to Call of Duty, and then now back to Halo. And I'm just wondering if these guys are kind of regretting it, like even Snipe Down, because wasn't he went from Halo to what, Apex, now back to Halo?
He's sort of doing both. He's cross competing.
Oh, he is still playing Apex. So yeah.
He'll still do Apex stuff too. I think when Infinite came out, he kind of was like, I'm gonna spend more time with this than Apex, you know. But yeah, it's funny. Like 4 or 5 months ago, at the end of last year, after that first event, everybody had a totally different opinion. You know, we were a month into Halo Infinite. They had just dropped the campaign. They'd had this awesome event in Rally, and all the Call of Duty guys were thinking about jumping ship. That was part of the reason that Formal did that. I mean, they needed him to compete because of what happened with Royal 2 and everything. But
that was so badass, dude.
That was so bad, and he played so good.
Like that whole video on YouTube, like I don't know if you saw that, like the behind the scenes of just him on the Sentinels, and then or Optics up there. They win.
They beat Optics.
They start wrapping their controller up. They see Formal coming up. They're like, no, you guys got to stay on this stage. They're like, fuck, we got to play Formal now. And then they lose the Sentinels. That shit's fucking badass.
Yeah, my favorite part was they talked to Formal at the end of that series after they beat Optic, and he's on Optic for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And he gets up there and he's like, I just want to shout out Optic, for letting me come out. And I was like, he just shouted out the org he beat on main stage. This is outrageous. Yeah,
I just can't believe how fucking huge this shit is, dude. Like, you know, because, dude, I went to these MLG tournaments where you had to bring your own fucking TV and shit, you know,
Yeah.
and it like, and to see like these players, how, you know, Formal's got probably like 1 million Twitter followers. He's fucking, they have these orgs where they just, you know, they go to these fucking, they go to work and just fucking play all day and just practice. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, they have these like team houses and shit.
Team
these
houses,
big
yeah.
mansions that they're just like making videos and streams and just gaming in all day long. It's badass.
Like I
yeah.
remember when I was playing Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 competitively, just like trying to find videos of professional players playing. Like if you saw like a video of like the ogres playing, it was like, oh shit. You
Yeah.
know, like it was like now you just like can sign on any day and just watch anybody play, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy how the access has just become so much more open to finding stuff like that. You know, like not only can you find their stuff, but those players and those personalities can monetize it and,
Definitely, yeah.
produce it specifically
Definitely.
to be seen. And whereas before it was sort of like a secret, you know, like, oh, I got this video like this. It was like contraband, you know?
Totally.
So yeah, it's weird how that's flipped so much in the last decade, you know?
Yeah, a lot of fucking money can be made off that shit, huh?
No kidding. Yeah, they've made their entire careers off that. These guys make more streaming than they do competing now.
When you play, do you play off your PC with your controller plugged in, or you play off of Xbox?
I go back and forth. I like to kind of test both and just see. I have one of the Series X's. I was fortunate to get one, so it runs like a dream on the Series X, 4K 60. Everything's cranked and it feels great. I run it on PC, and at first it didn't feel quite right, but about a month into it, they did a patch, and now I can't really tell the difference, honestly. I have a really nice PC, and it runs the game insanely well on both that and my Xbox, so I'll play it on either, just whatever I'm feeling like, you know?
That's cool. Yeah, like I enjoy playing it off the PC.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something where if you're playing it off the controller and the PC and you accidentally hit your mouse, it fucks up the aim assist or some shit like that? Or
Yeah, I don't know if that's still a thing, but it definitely was when it came out. There were some videos of people who were, you know, like
'cause
playing.
I think it's just in my head, and I think that, but
Yeah.
but I don't understand how like when pros are playing and then I see them and they're clicking, you know, their other screen and shit and responding to comments. It doesn't make sense to me, like how that would be a thing, you know?
Yeah, like there were a couple of clips where, you know, people were complaining that Infinite has too great a aim assist, and they would cite these moments where someone would get up and walk away from their desk and bump it, so where their mouse bumps and it registers the mouse, but it doesn't deregister the controller because they haven't actually pressed any inputs, and then the reticle will start tracking enemies that are running by like perfectly. And everyone's like, this is nuts, man. It's just like, that's not how the game actually plays, you know, like that. It thinks that it thinks there's a controller plugged in, but it's using mouse sensitivity on the reticle. It's just like this weird, the moment you push a button, it's going to change, you know?
Yeah.
So things like that. I don't know if they're still a problem. I don't think they're ever a problem, really. It was just,
Do you think there'll still be consoles now that people are just play off their PCs now pretty much?
yeah, there's a market there because consoles, for $300 to $500 will give you the performance that a PC you'd spend 12 to $1,500 building. And
I know, but the thing is, like, everyone pretty much has a PC now, and it's usually, I mean, typically built better than what's inside of a console. You know what I mean? So
yeah, yes and no. I think, like, if I was gonna go, like, I love gaming on the Xbox just because it's simple, and it's I mean, I don't know, like, it's designed to be used with a controller. Like, you can do that on a PC, and if you have a PC that can do both, it's great. But there's a lot of games that just run better on the Xbox than they do on my PC, and even though it's the same game. And I think it's just because it depends on how the developer develops. And if you're going to go for a target market that maybe can't afford a PC or doesn't game on a PC for whatever reason,
that makes sense.
they'd rather just spend $300 and park an Xbox under their TV.
Yeah.
I think that's great because that Xbox is going to deliver what a PC that costs 3 times that couldn't potentially. You know?
I actually only play Halo on the PC just because I like the smaller monitor. I can't play Halo on a fucking big ass 55 inch.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
me, I don't know how people do that. Like, it blows my mind. I have a few friends that do that, and they're really good. And I'm just like, what? I don't know how you do that. It's insane.
I think it's because like maybe we started on the small ones. You know what I mean? Or the MLG, you know, was like 24-inch TV or whatever. You know, so I'm just used to that small. Fuck shit. Back in the day, man, We used to play 4 screen I'd have a little fucking square and Halo Combat Involved. Remember?
Yeah.
We play 4-on-4 and shit.
Dude,
so
we had
I don't need a 55-inch screen.
we had those little Dynexes. I think they were 19-inch, just tiny little tube TVs, and they were the best, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's why my back's fucked up fucking carrying those TVs around back in those LAN days, dude.
Shit.
So
Probably.
anyway, man, I know you got to get to your fucking hockey game and shit. Do you want to fucking plug your links and maybe your podcast and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can find me on Twitch or Twitter at Grimace, GRIMISS, and you'll catch me just part-time streams, full-time dreams. That's what I've been saying lately. It's not bad, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, man, it was good talking to you. We got to do this more often.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. I appreciate you stopping by, man. I could talk about Halo for fucking 5 more hours, dude. But 343, this isn't a podcast shitting on you guys. We just want the best for Halo, and we just want you guys to get your shit together. So come on, guys.
Yeah, give us co-op.
We want to play. Yeah.
Give us Forge and co-op. Just crank it out.
All right, later, man.
All right.
Later, guys.
Later.